Let's start from here. I'm Korean, born and raised in Seoul, South Korea in 2001. My mom is Korean and my dad is Korean. I'm really just a fully 100% Korean. My life in Korea was very typical in that I went to school every morning, returned home, shared what I did at school with my mom, ate dinner, did homework, and slept. However, I was also very different from my friends, or maybe my parents were. I did not go to any academies after school to learn upper year Korean, English, math, and science, like my friends who used to go to academies for 5 hours every day since 2nd grade. I also did not quote-unquote study English by memorizing 100 vocabularies every day. My dad is a Korean teacher, and my mom was an English teacher until she gave birth to me. They always emphasize the importance of self-directed learning and having my own plans for studying, and also my own life. For this reason, I read a lot. Like, a lot. I went to the school library and the library near our house every day, and with a bit of exaggeration, I read every single book in my school library. My mom also taught me English, but not like the academy style. She recommended me a lot of books, and I watched a lot of kids' TV shows, ranging from Blue's Clues to iCarly and Victorious. My mom also brought me to a lot of English museums. My mom also took me to Australia for 2 months so that I could be exposed to a broader world. When I was there, I was exposed to English every day, which allowed me to improve my English skills a lot. Since I spent my time after school not going to the academy, my friends were telling me how they envy me that I don't have to go to academies for 5 hours. My friends' moms were telling my mom how my mom is impressive in not pushing me to go to academies. Although I was fully Korean, this feeling of fake Korean may have started since then. This fake Koreanness side of me got a lot stronger when I went to Australia for 6 weeks in 5th grade. It was an English camp program where I stayed with a homestay family and attended an Australian local elementary school. Although 6 weeks wasn't the longest time, it was enough to really change and improve me. The group of Koreans who went to this English camp had this strong sense of Koreans have to bond and help each other more when you're outside of country mindset that a lot of Koreans have. Although I agree that people should help each other, especially when people in need of help are from the same country as you, I didn't want to bond with them and stay too close to only them since I was there to study English. I decided to spend most of my time with Australian kids in the school and also got really close to my homestay family, unlike other Koreans who went to the camp. Other Koreans thought I was weird, and they started to exclude me from them, which made me spend more time with local friends there. My English improved a lot during that time, but it also made me question my identity. A lot of Korean kids in the group started calling me fake Korean, and I started wondering if I was actually really different. Then, our family moved to Beijing, China, when I was in 6th grade. We moved for 2 reasons, my dad's work and my education. As said, my dad is a Korean teacher. In Korea, every student have to take the College Scholastic Ability Test, CSAT, to get into university. However, there are a bit easier versions of CSAT for students who live abroad for a long period of time. My dad is a teacher for the easier CSAT Korean, and he thought it was better for him to move to China and continue teaching to get more students. However, the biggest reason why we moved was for my education. Korea is known for its rigorous school and education system. Since CSAT is very hard, everyone studies and grinds their whole life, even from kindergarten and elementary school, like my friends who went to academies for 5 hours every day. The education system is also very one-directional. The teacher teaches, and students are required to memorize everything that the teacher says in class, rather than really understanding the content and applying it to their lives. My parents were very against the system and wanted to give me more opportunities and open a field where I could learn better. With this, we all moved, and I started attending a British international school in Beijing. On the first day of international school, I excitedly went to school. I wondered what people were going to be like and what classes were going to be like. However, it was very different from what I was expecting. Since I'm Korean and new to the school, some Korean students at the school came over to take me around. When they first saw me, the first thing I heard from them wasn't questions asking my name or where I was from. It was, "Is your dad working in Samsung or Hyundai?" I was very shocked that they would ask questions like those to me. And I was naive that I told the truth. how my dad doesn't go to company. Since then, people thought I was very poor, along with the reason that I didn't go to any academies in Korea before coming to Beijing. Like what happened in Australia, I got excluded from the group of Koreans in school, and I just spent time with non-Koreans in school. English became increasingly comfortable for me, and I started using Korean only when talking with my parents. A year later, I moved to an American international school, where I eventually stayed until I graduated in 2020. When I switched to the American international school, the girl who bullied me the most in the British international school also moved with me, and I was scared that the bullying would continue. It became true, so I again stayed further away from Koreans in the school and stayed close with non-Korean friends at school. However, I again felt identity confusion at this time. I was never really good at math and science, but when I moved to American International School, friends I met there thought I would be really good at math and science, since I'm Korean. They all thought I would have gone to rigorous academies in Korea and would be really good at those subjects. Since I had this question to myself, am I not really Korean for a very long time? Many people viewing me as fully Korean confused me. I eventually managed my identity confusion. I started to understand and embrace my multicultural signs and view myself as Korean, but also not really Korean. I still stay very close with friends from all around the world, including, but not limited to, the United States, Canada, Australia, Japan, and Singapore. I was also able to joke with my friends, calling myself fake Korean. But this fake Korean side of me was actually true. I was a person who could not relate to the rigorous academic system, and I also didn't know much about K-pop and Korean celebrities that a lot of Koreans in our school were very interested in. While being called as fake Korean was a scratch in my heart a few years ago, I was able to embrace it and also really view myself as a fake Korean starting around 8th and 9th grade. Being multicultural also became a huge part of my identity. Since I was attending an international school, all my classes were taught in English, and I also used only English with my friends. I was feeling more and more comfortable using English. I also chose to take Chinese as my second language course in school since 6th grade. Before going to Beijing, I have learned Chinese characters in Korea. However, Chinese characters that people learn in Korea are traditional characters, and since China uses simplified characters, my prior knowledge of traditional characters didn't help me much. However, since I was still very young when I went to China, I started learning Chinese very quickly. I also think my parents' genes helped me since my parents have really strong language skills. Learning Chinese was very fun to me. At first, 4 different tones and complex Chinese characters really made it hard for me to learn it. However, as I learned more, I was happy that I was able to recognize the language more and more. My learning speed for Chinese accelerated, and I got moved to upper-level Chinese class in 9th grade. Since I was in upper-level class, the class was taught in 70% Chinese and 30% English. Both English and Chinese got really natural to me, and I didn't have to go through my brain to translate from Korean. I was naturally able to speak and understand English and Chinese directly. However, I started finding some downsides of being trilingual. Since I was learning everything in English, it was becoming harder and harder for me to tell my parents what I learned in school with Korean, especially when I had to tell them some specific scientific and mathematical words. I literally sometimes had to use dictionary to search up some words, such as differentiation, photosynthesis, and a lot more. With having this multicultural life for a while, I had another internal struggle around 11th grade. Until then, I always thought the students that my dad teaches are 언니 or oppa, since I always saw my dad teaching high school students literally since I was born. Then when I entered 11th grade, I realized that the students my dad teaches were literally around the same age as me. That really shocked me, especially how old I became, but also I started to worry a lot. My parents never pushed me to go to university or to become a doctor or lawyer. My parents even told me that if I'm really passionate about learning something else, for example coffee, they would support me in going to Italy and learning coffee there. Although my parents never pressured me with everything related to university, I was just self-conscious, and I didn't want to ruin my dad's reputation, since his job is to make students to go to university well. Also, since the Korean community in Beijing and my school are quite small, a lot of them were my dad's students, and I knew for a fact they were all very interested in where I go to university and which school I get accepted to. I had to do great. I had to go to a good university where people would not judge me. Since I already had experience of getting bullied and judged so much by other Koreans throughout my life, I didn't want to get judged again. With this stress, I studied really hard. I think I was somewhat being a typical Asian tiger parent myself and pushing me to study really hard and study until really late at night. My parents were worried that I was pushing myself too hard, but I had this internal anxiety that I had to do good. Eventually, my stress and hard work paid off. I got into all 3 universities that I have applied to in Canada, and I decided to come to University of British Columbia. I was imagining the university life that I have dreamed of for a very long time. I was excited that I would be able to meet new people who might also have diverse backgrounds like me. However, that was when COVID hit, and I decided to take a gap year before starting university since I didn't want my first year to be fully online, especially when there's 16-hour time difference. During gap year, I worked in an English academy and started tutoring. I feel like working in the English academy once again realized how different I am from typical Koreans. Gap year wasn't a concept that Koreans knew about. Other teachers working in the English academy were shocked that I didn't start university right after I graduated high school, and they all worried that I'm starting everything a year late. I was again hearing things like, "Wow, you're very different from normal Korean students," and "Gap year? Are you just making excuses to not study?" Hearing these made me doubt my choice of taking gap year, although I made that decision after careful thought and conversation with my dad. After coming to UBC, I also again felt like I was different from Koreans. Like those Koreans who went to an English camp in Australia, Koreans that I met at UBC wanted to stay with Koreans only. I didn't want that since I came all the way to Canada to attend university to gain diverse experience and experience a broader world. I also felt my multicultural backgrounds were very different from Koreans who came to Canada for university and also Koreans who immigrated to Canada. Of course, I know that not all Koreans are like the Koreans that I have met in my life. I'm not trying to generalize Koreans. However, this is my experience, constantly getting questioned by other people and also myself on if I'm actually really Korean and just continually feeling different from others. With having this confusion, I found my identity, and I'm no longer confused. I am also used to hearing things from others about how I am different from Koreans. Honestly, I think it is so normal for me to be different. I have had such different experiences from everyone that having different views and different thinking processes from everyone else is so normal. This is who I am. This is me. A Korean who speaks 0.3 Korean, 0.3 English, and 0.3 Chinese. Sometimes doesn't know or forget what a specific word is in Korean, English, or Chinese, so I have to search the dictionary. Sometimes I use body language to describe words I forget in Korean, English, or Chinese. Maybe some people might judge me again for being different and not being like normal Koreans. Perhaps I might face some times when I start to question my identity again. But I am not afraid of that anymore since I know that I'll be able to go through that again, embrace my multicultural identity, and understand that although I'm a bit different, although I'm fake Korean, I'm still Korean. And this is me.